Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. It's the 20th of March. It's a lovely sunny Sunday afternoon and we'd like to show you a few of the jobs that we've been looking at this weekend on our allotment. So on Friday afternoon we had some annual leave and we had a delivery of manure. It was about 3 tonnes and this is the second delivery of manure we've had for this year. So as you can see, we have put manure out on many of the beds. Not all of the beds, as we will show you in a second. We are using a few different things for mulching, including our own homemade compost. But we find that the manure is a really good source for bulking rilling to be able to get the volumes that we need for such a large area. However, to try and be organised, what we have done is we have stacked a large amount of the manure to keep for next year. So we will have this ready to mulch in autumn and we can get another delivery in the spring. So hopefully from onwards we'll only be getting one delivery a year, but now we're organised already for next autumn. One of the tasks that we've been working on is just to go through everything that we've got in these cold frames and to repot some of these up. And sometimes I'm very organised and other times I'm not. And when I had taken a load of cuttings, that was one of my disorganised times. And I hadn't labelled anything. So what I've had to do is just to go through, check what is definitely still alive. Because they've been a bit neglected and just forgot about really in these cold frames for a while. And I have potted a lot of these up. It's quite a lot of lavender at this end. And the other cold frame that's behind Anthony is actually empty. So we've just got this one cold frame that is full. It is the plan over the next few weeks that we are going to make some extra lids that fit on top of these cold frames that have got some polycarbonate in them. At the moment they're just covered by this netting. We did a little bit more sowing, and I'm not going to show you everything in this greenhouse because we are going to do a full plot tour next weekend, but we have continued to sow. So we've got some herbs here, different types of basil, and then also some celeriac we have sown. So we are continuing to sow at this time of year as well. So we've done quite a bit of harvesting today, and this is where we had our overwintering carrots bed, and we have harvested all the remaining carrots and we have mulched over this area with some of the homemade compost that we used to grow last year's potatoes in tubs. So you can see that this bed is already full, half full with the garlic, and that was mulched in autumn, so I won't re-mulch that one now, but so you can see the difference where we've got this fresh mulch on this section and then the garlic growing really healthily and looking really good, really pleased with that on the other section. You can also see where we've moved the carrot bed to, so we've been thinking about a rotation and it was just easier for us to get the whole carrot frame out to be able to clear the carrot bed. So what we did is we moved the carrot frame onto the bed behind me, and we've also mulched that bed in a similar way. So we've talked a little bit how we use the manure for mulching, but we also use a lot of our homemade compost, and you can see on this bed where we have done that. So there's a few stages to this in our no-dig method. Obviously these are established no-dig beds and therefore there is really minimal prep. But what we do is firstly make sure that there are no weeds on the surface. So that may include hoeing on the surface or hand pulling the weeds. Usually at this time of year there's not too many weeds, so it's quite a quick job. Then what we do is we just rake it out so it's nice and level. And once it's nice and level, we can put the compost onto the surface, and we're only using really probably 1/2 inch to 1 inch, so a really minimal covering. And this is because those no-dig beds are really well established, so all we're trying to do is to feed the microorganism and the life within the ground rather than use a huge layer for mulching, because there's not many weeds in these beds anyway. As you can see on this bed, we have put these wires over the top. The only reason for this is just to deter cats. And if Anthony just looks over onto Rob's plot, you can see there's a cat having a good nice little dig over there. And we absolutely love cats, so in a lot of ways we really encourage them. But as soon as you start mulching, particularly with that nice sort of friable, fresh homemade compost, they effectively think you're giving them a nice toilet. So what I tend to do is to put this out if I can put something over the top. They don't seem to be as bothered about the manure. It obviously is not the same sort of texture. So we just put this on to stop the cats digging it, really. Once it's been down for a couple of weeks, they tend to forget about it and move on elsewhere. It's the new stuff that's just been put down. It's obviously very interesting to them. So that's what the wire netting is about on the top. So another thing that we have done is just go over the whole plot and really just have a good check around in terms of weeding. So that involved a little bit of hand pulling of weeds and also a little bit of hoeing. And this is the communal flower bed area that we worked on clearing over the last couple of winters, really. We made a quick start the winter before, and then mainly last winter we got this established. So as you can see, it's got a flower bed in it and there's a fruit area which is communal for anybody on the ground to take, and hopefully it makes it look a little prettier too. Obviously that is going to take a small amount of maintenance, so we went over this today and just make sure that there wasn't any weeds coming up in this section, and it's not looking too bad. The fruit is looking really healthy, which is great. As you can see, there are a lot of grass paths around the perimeter of the ground, but also in between the individual plots. And there is a volunteer that mows these, which is a great support to all of us. However, it's a good idea at this time of year to just go over the grass paths, give them a good rake to make sure there's no solid items and large bits and bobs that shouldn't really be on your lawn area, just to allow that grass to keep growing as we move into spring. We've also spent quite a bit of time just going around the ground with a general audit and fixing any beds that needed repairing, and there's a separate video about that which we will link in the description. And we continue to harvest. Yesterday we had the harvest of our first sort of true spring crop, which was the forced rhubarb, and we enjoyed that in a really delicious crumble last night. But we've also harvested a few of the crops that we've sown last year. For example, we have got a few leeks. Oh. Quite small, but really nice and very tasty. We've got some sprouting broccoli. I didn't realise I'd done this. Actually looks a bit like a romesco, it might have been, or it's definitely a white sprouting broccoli. That's the purple sprouting broccoli. These are the rest of the carrots from the carrot bed. And we also harvested some Manure potato. And these are from these 30-litre pots. We've only got one of these pots left to harvest now. So it's been a really productive long weekend for us, and I hope that you've all been making some good progress on your allotments or vegetable gardens too. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, comment and subscribe. It only takes a minute, but it really helps our channel. Bye everyone!